What's the biggest fuck you way you've seen someone quit a job? The entire staff at a chain breakfast restaurant, during a busy Sunday morning, dropped every dish at the same time. Broken glass, food, etc. was everywhere. The owner was a horrible human being and staff eventually said enough was enough. It was mostly teenage-age workers, so they didn't have a lot to lose. Fuck yes. I didn't return a double VHS copy of Saving Private Ryan when I quit my job at Blockbuster Video in 1999. Still have the tape. Fuck that place. It's all your fault they went out of business. Nothing major, but I had a coworker at Best Buy quit over the PA system on Black Friday. He aired the store's dirty laundry for a good minute or so until they found him in the warehouse area, all because he had been approved off for a family vacation as a condition of his hiring, only to be told nobody gets Black Friday off when the time came around. Nothing major. I had a really strict boss that would subtly bully everyone, and she'd do it just under the radar. You never had reason to actually complain about her methods or the way she spoke. But people felt they had to work overtime. People felt they had to deliver on time, neglecting families and other duties. Until a coworker got fed up and left. In his exit interview, he laid out exactly what psychological tactics she used, how her shit was invisibly affecting team morale, and how that made her have a really high churn rate. I guess it was eye-opening for her. I also quit soon after, and I made sure to also be very specific in my description of her tactics. Long story short, on the first occasion she was moved back to a software developer position, and was not given a team to manage since then. Weird she didn't get a promotion. A friend loved his job but hated his boss. He finally could take no more and turned in his notice. The boss spent several minutes cussing him out in front of the whole office. My friend looked at his boss and said, "That is not a 2-week notice. It is a 2-minute warning," and walked out. She fucked the boss's dad. Some might call that a power move. I call it a flower move. Line cook instead of cleaning up for the night, put all the kitchen tools and utensils in a bucket of water and placed in the walk-in freezer. Morning kitchen staff had to defrost it in the sink with hot water for about an hour. Devious. Makes the point without being destructive. Truck driver set the truck on fire. Don't touch me, I'm a real live wire. Psycho killer. KCE FAFAFAFAFAFAFAFAFA far better. Years ago I worked at McDonald's. One busy Saturday during the lunch rush, we ran out of cooked nuggets. As they were frying, one of the girls working up front was getting impatient. She continually screamed, "I need a 6-piece nugget," over and over. When she saw my coworker pulled them from the oil, she started screaming it louder. He calmly put the nuggets in the tray, scooped a 6-piece into the box, and threw the nuggets at the back of the girl's ear while screaming, "Here's your fucking nuggets." He immediately walked out the door, got in his car, and drove off, never to be seen again. Copy-pasted from an older comment on a similar thread. I was hired at a paint store after many years in the industry. I was upfront in the interview, telling them I had back problems, and that I could not be solely responsible for loading and unloading the 5-gallon skids. I was told that they totally understood. I was being hired for my knowledge, not my strength. I was maybe 23, about 110 pounds and a tiny girl, so this was welcome news to me. I get to my first day at the small location, and see that the only other employees are the manager and assistant manager, with no plans to hire more staff. Okay, this isn't great, but I'll deal with it. First week, manager is off that day. Assistant manager leaves the shop floor to go have lunch. Jerk of a contractor comes in and needs 18 pails. 2 skids of 5-gallon pails at 50 pounds each. Tinted and shaken right fucking now. I mean, sure, it's a reasonable request, but it takes time. So I go and ask assistant manager for help tossing these pails on the counter, moving them into the shaker. What have you? It wasn't like I wasn't going to help, but I was expressly told I wouldn't have to hump these things alone. Guy says no. He's eating lunch. Contractor is yelling that he's in a rush. What the fuck? Alright then, I'll do it. Get them all shaken and done in about a half hour. And realize I've fucked up. My back and muscles are now so jacked up that I have to cradle my arms in front of me just to keep my muscles from freaking out so badly I'll cry. Next day, basically the same thing. Agony all morning. I call the regional manager who hired me and ask him WTF. His response in so many words was shrug, deal with it. So I went and gathered up my meager possessions. Sweaters, mugs, pens, whatever. Stuff everything into my bag. Walk to the front of the store and very pointedly say, I'm going for a pack of smokes. Walked out, went down the road, met a friend for drinks and never went back. Nobody even called me. I've never ever quit like that before or since. I don't burn bridges, but I was done with the industry. And having been there less than 2 weeks, I feel like fuck, that was an appropriate response. You should have sued. Their boss was giving them the "you're fired" talk. She interrupted him and walked out. 10 years later, the boss worked for her at a different job. Karma. Kinda cheating, but I got my job because the woman who had it before me got a huge inheritance. Came in Monday, squatted down and peed on the supervisor's desk. Cops were called and nobody heard from her since. Just pee? That's not how you level up. It was by me. Quit fired. One of those scenarios. And it is in the early 90s, so no cell phones, texting, internet, etc. I was a photographer, video and audio editor for a small 20-person ad agency. I worked for them for several years doing 70-hour weeks as part of a media production team, monsieur. The pay was bad for a 40-hour week and horrible for 70-hour week. But you were so busy creating stuff for corporate clients that you became used to living off adrenaline and coffee. One Monday I show up and 2 of the 4 team co-workers had quit on Friday due to workload pressures. They had warned me they were reaching their limits, but I didn't pay much attention to it, being at our limit was common. On the Monday, the management swept through in the morning and gave the usual "no worries, step up and we'll hire more to help" speech, but we were already doing 70-hour weeks. Naturally, existing tight production schedules fell behind and the management took to blaming the production staff. The 2 of you slept. That we weren't dedicated enough and that maybe we should work smarter somehow. A week goes by and we got some work done. During the second week, of 2 people trying to do the work of 4 people, I got into a shouting match with my manager during which he fires me. So, I guess I didn't quit. He tells me to get my stuff and exit now. I tell him that over the last couple years I've integrated a bunch of my personal gear into the editing studio. It might take a day to sort it out. He wants none of that and I'm supposed to exit by noon. In about 2 hours. So I went into the audio recording studio and started cutting things out with a pair of wire cutters and a box knife. I wired it up the first time so I wasn't worried about keeping track of which cable went to what equipment. An hour later, the audio racks were mostly empty slots with cabling hanging out. I had a pile of gear and cabling in the middle of the studio as a staging to exit pile. The management wanted to see what I was leaving with. There was no need to steal anything. All the good stuff was mine. I left with my gear and never returned. A few weeks later, they hired one of my industry friends to replace me. He kept me informed as to the workplace grief I left behind and he lasted about a month. They never did get their production studio back to professional standards, like not being able to do a simple in-house voiceover. Management figured they'd survive by contracting photography, audio and video production services. But they'd burned most of their bridges locally and had to hire out of the next largest city, a 6-hour drive away. The ad agency folded within a year. I take no credit for that, but it still feels good to see inept management get caught. greater than, we were already doing 70-hour weeks. I'm told that employees should maintain a balance between work and home. Last week you only worked 70 hours. There are 168 hours in a week. So that's less than half. Give us some balance. You selfish bastard. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.